Hi, folks. I'm back. We're here for the third video now. If you haven't watched the first two videos, the first one had to do just with framing up our listening season that is launching right now. And you can go to the link below, sign up for a house meeting. The second video has to do with the two loops theory, or two loops framework for thinking about how systems change and how we might situate Leaven within system change. And then this third video, I'm going to be offering a second framework. And this framework is about looking more closely at Leaven, how we might think about how we gather, how we're connected to one another at Leaven, and a little bit of kind of my worldview for how I think about change work and community work and spiritual life. So, or we might say change life and community life and spiritual life, but I digress. So I'm going to share my screen one more time, trusting that, again, this doesn't feel too terribly weird. Okay. So something that's really resonated with me for some time now is the idea of a fractal, that how we are at the small scale is how we are at the large scale. And the patterns of the universe repeat at scale. So this quote is from Adrienne Maree Brown in her book, Emergent Strategy, which if you haven't read that, I urge you to run to the bookstore and buy her book if you can, or run to the library and read that book if you can. But it's based in this concept of biomimicry, that as humans, we can look to nature for how to be, because we are of nature and we are of this world, we are of the earth. And how we are with one another interpersonally, how we are with ourselves on our inside matters. It matters for how we are in community, and it matters for how this world is formed and how this world is. So another way of thinking about this, because I know this gets a little heady, is to think about spiritual life and social change as deeply intertwined. And I know that this is already this is a thought that's very pervasive throughout this community already. But Reverend Angel Kyoto Williams is another teacher whose book I recommend you check out. She says that love and justice are not two. Without interchange, there can be no outer change. Without collective change, no change matters. So situating this idea that the work that we do within ourselves, this interchange work, we can think of it as spiritual work, we can think of it as meditation, we can think of it as intellectual work if we want, somatic work, however we approach it, that interchange work is essential to outer change. Who we are on the inside impacts how we show up in the world. And how we show up in the world impacts how we show up in community, which impacts the broader collective change that we form. All of these are integrated. And it's not linear, but it's kind of like everything happening together all at once. And yet we can focus ourselves in on one at different times. This concept, when I was first learning about Leaven and how you all are together, it really spoke to me of the sacred organizing spiral. So sacred pause, if we put that in the center, that spoke to me of interchange work, of pausing to reflect, to celebrate, to evaluate, to look deep within ourselves, to take an honest account, to take stock of who we are, to be willing to face that, both just our inner selves, but who we are in relationship. Okay, so that willingness to look at ourselves, but then also that space where we offer ourselves respite and we offer ourselves compassion. that connected to me. Then the sacred encounter being the next piece, that outer change, sacred encounter and sacred unveiling, both done in community. Sacred encounter being one-on-one conversations, house meetings, being in community together, right? Cooking meals, having conversations, small groups, doing life together. And the sacred unveiling is also part of that work, working together to unveil the patterns and the systems around us, to unveil what our next steps might be on any given thing, an idea, a project, a wondering. Those things both done kind of at that interchange, the outer change component. We're doing that out in the world. And then sacred action. Sacred action is where we take that action. We try to mobilize this work that we've done toward collective change. So again, all of these being deeply interconnected and interwoven together. So I'm presenting a lot of this as if it is linear. And again, it's not linear. And we often think about an organizing cycle. You know, we have to do it in these like certain steps, but in reality and in real life, we find that it doesn't always happen that way. We can organize our work in that way in a cyclical fashion, but we might find that we need to take action multiple times and then pause and then need to do some more unveiling work, need to be doing some deeper listening. Maybe we're not hearing the community quite right, not identifying whatever the pressure is quite right. So it's not linear. How does this relate to Leaven even more? Here's how Leaven practices fractals. Right on the website, be, love, act. Be, I think of as the inner work, that interchange work, that deep spiritual work. Spiritual, again, being a word that not all of us might use. So find the word that works for you. Tell me what it is so that I can use that one too. Love, loving in community. Love is about that outer change, about showing up to one another, about relationship. And then act, that love propelling us toward action, that when we are really in community with one another, we are moved by each other's stories to take action. So here are some of to get really specific about it. I'll read these out loud because I'm not sure you'll be able to see this, but at the center at B, I've put, and again, these aren't going to be compartmentalizing a little bit. All of these things are going to have aspects of all of them. Okay. But in the center, I have salt and light, BBB, fabric. Those are places where, for the most part, a lot of us go in this community to do that honest accounting, to connect with the sacred groundwater of spirit or of divine or of the universe, right? So that's kind of that inner work. And that's where right now in Leaven Community, there are places where we intentionally gather to do that. And then some examples of the love part, intercambio, sacred presence and accompaniment. There's this idea of a community or eco-resiliency hub. So the work that we do kind of here in the building, the common house relationships, our garden, tending to our garden and tending to our land, cooking together, making art together in the collab. All of these things are ways that we show up and build relationship with each other, and where there's opportunities to share our stories. And then that moves us into action. Action, some of the places that this has looked like is Leaven Land and Housing Coalition, or the sanctuary organizing that this community has done, and MACG, our work through MACG. So really, the places that we're showing up to intentionally press on making collective change in the world that is beyond the walls of this community. Because again, that is what love compels us to do, what relationship compels us to do, what story compels us to do when we really care. and when we really need ourselves. Okay. And here we are, not linear as well. Okay, so lots of us might come to Leaven only through one of these groups. Lots of us might be involved in almost all of them. Lots of us might be involved in just fabric and intercambio. The idea of the things that connect us here, this yellow line, first of all, it's not linear, but also the yellow line that connects us is relationship and our values, our worldview, our vision. That's what holds us together. So that's also part of what this listening season is about, is beginning to weave again the fabric of this community through turning once more to our relationships, and articulating together our values at house meetings. So how we are again at small scale is how we are at the large scale. The patterns of the universe repeat at scale. And at Leaven, we have the opportunity to practice interchange, outer change, and collective change all together as a community of people that are both secular, agnostic, atheists, and also Lutheran, or Buddhist, or Jewish, or any other practice. The thing that holds us together are our relationships and our shared values, worldview, and vision. And we can practice this fractal together in community. So I'm hoping to hear more from you all about how this feels, what kind of reactions you have to this, if that feels like it is a helpful articulation and framework for thinking about how we hold together as Leaven through this sacred spiral. And again, curious for your thoughts in house meetings. So thank you so much for connecting to this small series of videos. And I hope to see you at a house meeting soon. Thanks, everyone. Bye.